forward, you would have thought that.
I'd say, why not?
Big baller, on my way to a triple-double.
Westbrook's got his triple-double.
Triple-double, triple-double.
Move over, Big O.
What he's doing is just electrifying. He just attacks everybody.
There's no player like myself.
He's made the triple-double look so easy.
This shit ain't easy, though. I'll tell you that.
Over the weekend, Russell Westbrook logged his 181st triple-double, tying Oscar Robertson records. He's been on a tear in his first season as a Wizard, registering his 35th triple-double this season. Tonight, Russ can pass Oscar when the Wizards play the Hawks. Chris, coming to you here first. Is Russell Westbrook more overrated or underrated?
Molly, I love Russell Westbrook. I love the fact that he's a top competitor. And as a football guy, I can appreciate the level of physicality that he brings to today's NBA game. He's probably pound for pound the toughest guy in the NBA. But all that being said, yeah, Russell Westbrook is overrated. And the reason why he's overrated is because the stats that he has doesn't tell the entire story in terms of his overall impact on winning. For a guy that gives you a lot of triple-doubles, he doesn't have success at the highest level. You look at the last 4 postseasons, Russell Westbrook, first-round exit, first-round exit, first-round exit, second-round exit. Now, I understand it's a team effort, but when you start talking about a guy that can average a triple-double, you would expect that he would be able to step up and be able to help his team have more success once it really matters. And Russell Westbrook has been lacking in that department for his entire career. Now, I love what he's doing with the Wizards, especially in the second half. And when he gets a triple-double, this team is 21-14. But I can't sit here and say that Russell Westbrook is one of those guys that is not overrated just based on what everybody gives him these accolades in terms of him being able to average a triple-double. I think everybody's enamored with the fact that he can do that. First player to do that since Oscar Robertson. But in terms of his overall impact on winning when it matters, yeah, he's overrated.
You want me now?
Yeah.
You ready for this? Okay. Russell Westbrook is both the most overrated and the most underrated player in that.
Come on.
Could you be any more annoying with that answer?
He's both, and I'll explain why. There are a group of people. There's basketball fans are split right down the middle, and most of them both have it wrong, mostly. One group says Russell Westbrook's top 3-point guard of all time. Who could it? Oscar Robertson averaged a triple-double one time. Russell Westbrook did it for 4 consecutive seasons. He's other than Magic. We've heard this said. They believe greatest. No, he's not. And there are other people who don't understand. He is an MVP caliber player still. Oh, Russell Westbrook's overrated. You can't win with Westbrook. He doesn't affect winning. It's empty calorie stats. They're wrong too. Let me tell you what's happening with Russell Westbrook right now. One, the crowd that overrates him. Steph Curry and James Harden are better than Russell Westbrook. Period. They're better players. Everyone would take them before they took Russell Westbrook. So of the kind of point guard size players, he's at best number 3. People would also argue Chris Paul. Some might argue Kyrie Irving or Damian Lillard. And if you include LeBron James and Luka Doncic as guys who, primary ball handlers, whether or not they're technically backcourt play, whatever, Russell Westbrook's lower and lower on the list. Okay? So that's how he's overrated. But let me tell you why he's underrated. Last 3 seasons, Westbrook has been in new situations. Paul George is a new teammate. So he's trying to figure out how to play with Paul George. Paul George got to be the leading scorer. He's figuring it out. Had a great season by the end of the year. Westbrook did. Then he's in a new situation in Houston. How am I going to play with Chris Paul? With James Harden. So in the beginning of the season, it looks like he fell off. By the end of the season, what are we all saying? Westbrook's an MVP candidate. Happened again this year. New situation. Bradley Beal. They're losing. He's putting up numbers, but they're not winning.
I'm never getting
What happens by the end of the season?
This is why
He's
I'm
an
getting
MVP
more
candidate.
gray hair every single day, and I hope Stephen A. is watching. Hopefully he's not because he's on vacation. But I'm going to make sure to bring this back. It's not to the people out there. It's to you. So to you, he's both overrated and underrated. You're telling me to the masses. I want to know what Max Kellerman thinks.
It's not to you because to you means your own rating. How can you over or underrate someone? Overrated or underrated is a perception of the masses. And what I'm saying is you can't take an average here.
What is he to Max Kellerman?
Is he overrated? overrated or underrated?
Yes, answer the question.
Where is he rated? Tell me, and I'll tell you if he's over or underrated.
Is he overrated in your opinion, or is he underrated?
He is overrated by half the basketball fans and underrated by the other half, badly. So how can you say? Right. Tell me where you rank him. I'll tell you if you're over or underrating him. Where do you rank Russell Westbrook? Is he an MVP caliber player?
I'm being told by producers to move on because they're very annoyed by this as well. So I'm going to listen. And I'm going to celebrate the Knicks right now, the team that you abandoned, because they are back 13-3
Molly on my neck today.
With the perfect record. It's not true. That was the most annoying argument of all time since April 9th. Derrick Rose. Let's hear from him. Bye, Max.
I saw they had a young group, and it was great for me to go there. Get some of that young blood, get some of that young energy, and we're trying to build the culture here at Tibbs is doing, and his staff is doing a great job of making sure they're preparing us before every game. In the fourth quarter, the intensity pick up, the urgency has to be there, and we're trying to play for something.
Max, Tibbs has to be coach of the year, right?
He is.
Yeah.
Tibbs is coach of the year. And you can point to whoever else you want. Tom Thibodeau took over a team. Even Julius Randle, who's top 5 MVP maybe, even he credited Thibodeau with the culture that held him accountable, that held everyone accountable to get him and the team to the next level. I can't believe I'm saying this. I never thought of Tibbs as a head coach, as a coach of the year type guy. But this Knicks team, when you go back to the preseason, how you evaluated the roster, this is one of those, if every single thing works out better than you think it could work out, here's what you get. A lot of that's coaching. This is a team that's totally connected on offense and on defense. And you know how I'm sitting here, Chris, talking about we know what the ceiling is for this team. Mm-hmm. They can win the first round. They're out in the second. They don't believe that. They don't think that. They don't believe that. Tom Thibodeau is clearly the coach of the year.
No, Max, you're wrong about that. And I love what Tibbs is doing with the Knicks. But Monty Williams is the coach of the year. You got to give him some love. Let's first start with the facts, okay? They're second in the Western Conference. They were a team that missed the playoffs last year. Even though they played well in the bubble, they missed the playoffs last year. They added Chris Paul to this team, and Monty Williams has been able to orchestrate all of it. You see this team playing at a high level, and it's a team that's ahead of where we'd expect them to be in terms of their program building. Through the month of April, this team has the best record in the NBA of teams against teams that are over 500. So you have to give them some love for that. And
that's impressive, because with the Knicks, it wasn't that, because I gave the same record, but with the Suns,
Exactly. And then you also got to give the love the fact that they're one of 2 teams that have a top 10 offensive rating and a top 10 defensive rating. So in terms of the coach being able to put all the different pieces together and then seeing the development of the young players on the Suns, guys like DeAndre Ayton, like Cam Johnson, like Mikal Bridges, that speaks directly to the job that the head coach is doing. And I got to say, the fact that he is second in the Western Conference, which is the tougher of the 2 conferences, that's what
I knew the Suns were going to be good this year.
That's what makes Monty Williams coach of the year.
Yes, I thought there was a chance. I thought they were going to.
There's no way you thought the Suns would be a top 2 team in the West.
It's not whether or not they're going to be top 2. There are 5 teams bunched pretty close together. The Suns were one of them. This is not surprising to me, because if you told me just before the season, I don't care who coached the team, here's your roster, Chris Paul and Devin Booker in the backcourt. That's kind of perfect. Who are your 3-and-D guys? Who are your forwards? Bridges and Cam Johnson. Oh, yeah, that's kind of perfect. They don't need the ball. They can defend and they can shoot. Who's your big? DeAndre Ayton. Wow, he was number 1 overall, and Chris Paul's there to influence him. How about who's coming off the – well, we're going to pick up Jay Crowder. We'll pick up Saric, guys like this. Yeah, I would expect that team to perform very well. If you showed me this Knicks roster preseason – get out of here with that. A 4 seed in the East? Hell no.
No, I hear what you're saying, Max, and I hear where you're coming from, but I don't think anybody thought the Phoenix Suns would be capable of what they're doing this year. I don't think anybody thought it. The roster can look great, and you can say, based on what they did in the bubble, this is going to be a team to watch, but nobody had the Phoenix Suns being in this position. The roster can look all great, but it's a matter of
really, no one had either team. I know that's the whole point of it.
A lot of people like the Suns a lot. If LeBron and AD don't get hurt, the Suns aren't number 1 in the West right now.
That song that's now stuck in my head. He's a runner. He's a track star. You know what it is. Seattle Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf made his professional track debut on Sunday. Get it! At the USA Track and Field Golden Games and Distance Open, Metcalf ran a 110.37 seconds, finishing last in his heat, 15th out of 17th overall. I will start with the athlete on the show, Max. Just kidding.
Wow.
Kidding. Super Bowl ring. Kidding. I wanted everyone to get a laugh, and look, it worked. What are your thoughts on Metcalf's performance as a football player?